Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So this is my latest junk journal that I thought that I would do a quick flip through of. It's available in my Etsy to, coincide with the video going up. It's a soft cover junk journal. I did do a page of this on my channel, but it's a soft cover made from an envelope but covered with fabric. So yeah, it's got no paper element other than the envelope, which is inside the fabric. So it's really nice and squidgy. It is, I've brought my ruler along today, tried to be a bit more organised. So it's about 6.5 inches by just over 9 inches, and it's super chunky. So it's, about 4.5 inches at the sort of thickest part. So I just want to point out at the back, I've started now marking my things as handmade by Shabbydabbydoodah. This is only because I recently saw one of my very first journals that I made and sold for sale on Etsy on somebody else's shop at an absolutely extortionate price. It's fine, good luck to them, hope they sell it. But although they hadn't said it was made by them, they hadn't said it wasn't, if you see what I mean. So they just hadn't said who it was made by. They were just calling it a junk journal. So I just thought, actually, it's probably time that I start sort of marking my work, really. So I have got myself a stamp now, and I'm going to, the intention is to mark all of my items now as handmade by me. So that's on the back. Other than that, the back is plain. Now the spine has been covered with some lace down there. And the closure is some of this beautiful silk that I had received in Happy Mail. I then have a bulb pin with one of my cute little danglies that I did a tutorial on these. They're the adapted stamp pieces. So hopefully you can see that. So this one has actually got a postage stamp wrapped around it. It's edged also in gold, and it's obviously glossy accented all over it. So I really love how that looks. And that's just attached onto the closure with a bulb pin. So obviously you can just, detach that. You can obviously take it off and move it around. You can put it somewhere else in your journal, or however you like, basically. So I'll just take that off for the moment. And then I've got one of my little dangly pieces here in the corner. So this is just a little dangle that I think, again, we've done this on the mass making, or done some of them on the mass making. So this is just tied obviously in a bow, but this actually is attached. So this silk is actually attached to the book. If you didn't like it, you could cut it off. If you didn't want that as your closure, you could cut it off, but it is stuck down, so far into the book, if you see what I mean. So it's stuck down up to the end of the book plate. So if you wanted to cut that off, you'd have to cut it, some of it's going to still be stuck down. And then this is probably the most, fussy cover that I've done, I think. It took me quite a long time to put this cover together, but I've layered up all sorts of different fabrics and things. Again, using lots of my lovely laces and pieces from Happy Mail. I then popped some Varimontes into these little crocheted flowers. So I had one in the centre there, some around there. I've got a little bit of fabric ruffle down there, and again I just popped some Varimonte pieces down there. I've done a little bow here. It's got a lot of different things on here, and then here it's just got an element from a snippet roll which I've Mod Podged over that, and then that's been stuck onto the cover as well. Going inside the book, so the front of the inside of the front cover is just fabric. As I say, I haven't put anything paper on there, so it is just fabric. Then you've got some lace trim running down here and a fabric ruffle down the edge, and then a little bit of bling at the top, which hopefully you can see. I'm trying out a new camera setup for my flip throughs as well, so hopefully this is going to be okay. On the facing page, so this is Victorian Florals, the theme of this journal, so it's very, very florally and very full. So I've got a pocket here, which is one of those pockets that we made from our masterboard collage scrapbook. So that's there. Got some lace and some bling and a little piece of fabric ruffle. Tucked in there, I've just got one of my little vintage photograph printables, and that's been printed onto, what do you call this, photo paper. So it's got a glossy sheen. So that just tucks in there. Where it's kind of got the little scrappy corner, that's how the original photograph was. So I wanted to keep that on the printables. So I think that looks really nice and kind of vintagey. So that's that. Then also tucked into that pocket, you've got one of those little flip downs, which again, we made some of these in the mass making. And that's on coffee dyed paper, and it just slots in to that pocket there. Then going over the page, we've got here, and again, I think I did this one on video. So on here, you've just got a little movable piece, which is holding down this little flip up, flip down piece. This is from some collage page. It was the actual original masterboard piece, and I've just layered up one of my birds. It's got some lace and some bling. And then this just folds back down and just closes like that. You've got some lace at the bottom. And I've done some stamping in that pretty toffee crunch colour all throughout the journal. So hopefully the continuity is there throughout the whole journal with the stamped sort of elements. And they're just very pretty in the background, so can easily be journaled over. And then tucked in there, again, I've just got one of my little printable photographs. And again, that's on the photo paper. This also is a pocket, which I've obviously, you know, not put anything in. So let me just pop something in there. So we'll just pop her in there. So you've got something in that one. And then on the facing page, so this is patterned paper at the back. You've got here one of my little vintage postcards. Then you've got a piece from my curator's collections, the portrait ones. And then here you've got one of those large sort of flap envelopes collaged up with, I think this was one of the clusters that I made recently. And then here you've got some lace trim, some diamante, all sorts of different things there. And then again, tucked in the pocket, you've just got one of my little photographs on, again, that photo paper. So that just tucks in there. Going over the page, we've got here a corner tuck spot, again, layered up with various things. You've got some lace trim. And then tucked in there, I included this gorgeous paper, which I had received quite some time ago now from Laura in Happy Mail. So it's the most pretty sort of tissue paper. And, you know, I haven't tried, but I'm sure you could journal on this. So I just thought that was really nice and, you know, went really nicely with the book. You've got more of the stamping, you've got a little label there, and then I've just got a little printable invoice there that's again lots of florals and things on that. So that just tucks up here. And then these are your plain pages for journaling, so you've just got a label. On the next one, I've just got one of my little stamp fabric clusters on there. These are all coffee dyed and they're all stamped. Then you've got some vintage sheet music. Again, I just stamped a little bit over there. And then more plain page for journaling and another little label. This one here, you've got this fabric pocket and one of my little button embellishments and some bling. And then held together with a paper clip, you've just got some more of that lovely tissue paper from Laura. So a few sheets there. You've got another one of the vintage postcard printables, and then you've got this little printable piece here as well. So they're all paper clipped together to hold them tidily, and they all just tuck into that lace pocket. And then going over the page here, you've got some lace, which I just love the way it's sort of hanging down. And then you've got this large pocket with, again, another one of my vintage postcards, you know, copy of, and it's in this pocket, which I think we made this in the mass making. You've got some more stamping and a butterfly up there. And then on the facing page, you've got here some more lace, which again, I love how it's just hanging off at the corner there. And then you've got a pocket here, another photograph in the pocket, some vintage book page, that's just tucked in there like that. And then just another decorative piece, which actually I think I did do as a pocket. Oh, a little tuck spot. So let's just grab a photograph and pop that into there. So that's just now got one of my little printed photographs there tucked in there. Then on the next page, we've got one of those double pockets here. And again, I've layered it up with some of the snippet roll. In the first pocket, you've just got one of the photographs. So that's in there. In the second pocket, you've got one of the larger photographs. That's tucked in there. And then you've got lace at the top and a bit of stamping. And then tucked in at the back, this is some vintage paperwork from 1938. It's a copy of it, but it's been coffee dyed and aged and, you know, feels suitably vintage. So that's just tucked in at the back. So again, you've got some more plain pages here for journaling with just some stamping pieces and a bit of lace and things. This is some vintage book page. This book is actually from something like, I can't remember, but I think it was like 1838 or something. It's incredibly old. So yeah, really excited to put that in here. And then you've got some doily. You've got here one of my little stickers and some more stamping. Some more stamping and stamping here. And then here you've got a ticket cluster and some lace. So there's quite a bit of room for journaling in this book. Then here you've got a fabric ruffle. You've got a large pocket here layered up with a variety of things. You've got a cluster on here, some lace. And then you've got one of my little vintage stamp chipboard pieces. And then tucked in this pocket, which now I've just tucked it right in. So now I'm not going to obviously be able to get it. You've just got another one of my little printed postcard pieces. And then here on the facing page, this is some more of that masterboard collage scrapbook. And tucked into there, I've just done a little flippy pad. And I think we did this on video. You've also got a little flap there, which tucks in. But I mean, it's so beautiful when you see that paper sort of behind. Yeah, so I just love it. And I just did a bit of stamping on there so it's a bit more interesting to look at. And tucked that in. You've got a dictionary definition and some flowers and some lace trim. Then going over the page here, we've got some vintage sheet music as a belly band. It's got a cluster on it and some lace trim at the top and some fabric ruffle at the bottom. And again, this is some vintage paperwork, copy of vintage paperwork. I can't see a date on here, but again, this was pretty old. Why can't I see the date on here? Oh, I have no idea. I can't see the date, but it was quite an old piece. So anyway, I have just printed that and coffee dyed it and popped it in. And then just a bit of decorative detail in the back. So that just goes in there. Then some more stamping on these pages. One of my number tabs. Bit of doily, the rest of that vintage book. And this is my vintage dominoes. And I just folded it over and used it as a little page tab there. And then one of Caroline Crafttree's ticket printables, so I love those. And then here you've got some fabric ruffle running down the side, and this is one of those little booklets which I have done a tutorial on. So it's just held down with a paper clip and it just opens up like so, and you've got obviously lots of journaling space inside there. You could also journal obviously on that side as well. So that just tucks back in to the flap like that. And then to hold it shut, I mean, it's not really going anywhere, but just, you know, for added precaution really, I just paper clipped that shut. And then behind there is little bits of detail. And then tucked in, you've got another one of my little vintage postcard pieces. And then here is a vintage certificate of baptism. This is dated 1838, I think it is. So again, you know, really old and yeah, really nice piece there. And it's been coffee dyed, so nice and vintage. And then going over the page, wouldn't be one of mine without a bit of string somewhere. So we have one of my little foldy booklet pieces here, and it's obviously held closed with string. inside there, I just layered up a couple of pieces, and then I just popped in, this is just a paper bag, which again, I just popped some decoupage on there and layered up some pieces with some lace. So I'll just pop a card in here. So this is much better doing the flip throughs here from my point of view, because I have things that if I've missed, you know, enclosing something, I can then grab something. Whereas when I do them downstairs, you know, it's easy to forget. So that's in that pocket. In this pocket, you've just got one of my little vintage scrap pieces from the Curator's Collection Scrap Florals. On the front, you've got various pieces layered up. I think that might be a pocket in the front as well, so you could always tuck something else in there. And then this is a tuck spot, so tucked behind there is again one of my large vintage photos. So these are from my group photos, which are sort of in larger versions. Here on this page I've got a flippy envelope, so again layered it up with some of the snippet roll, and then tucked into there again another one of those vintage postcards copy of, and then another copy of some vintage paperwork here, which again I'm struggling to see a date. I can't actually see a date on here, but again it's vintage. Oh, 1936, and it's all been coffee dyed, so you know, feels really nice and old. And that just tucks into the envelope. Oops. And then I just included this for just some detail on that page. You've got ruffle and a bow. And then going over the page, this is one of those large pockets which we made in the mass makes, and I've also done a tutorial on. So it's glued down on 3 sides. So tucked into the side, I've got another one of those vintage postcard copies. And then tucked in this one, another postcard there. As you can see, we've layered up lots of nice things onto this large pocket. And there's another photograph there. So you've got pocket there, pocket here, and a pocket at the back. And then on the facing page, this is just a decoupaged napkin butterfly, which I've just popped onto the page. Then a bit of doily here, the rest of that vintage sheet music, some more stamping. Another of Caroline from Caroline Craft Trees tickets, and a little banner. I've just stapled those together but then glued them onto the paper. This is more of that collage masterboard piece, and I've just layered it up. There's some lace running down the side, and then I just tucked in a little printable piece there. And then finally at the back of the book we've got here another corner tuck spot, and I've just popped a little photograph, again copy of a vintage photograph postcard, sorry, up there. You've got a label here, a cluster here, and some fabric ruffle with some Diamante trim, and again mirroring kind of the front inside cover as well. I've left the back plain with just fabric. Oh, got a corner piece there with just fabric, and then I've done the lace and the ruffle. There is just a large flower here, and this is one of those Tim Holtz, what are they called, tatty florals. So it's a paper flower, so obviously you have to be a bit gentle because it could get really just quite crushed. But it's not too bulbous. Hopefully you can see it's kind of lying quite flat, so it's not, you know, it's not doing too much there, but I just thought it looked quite pretty on that page. So yeah, that's the entire journal. So yeah, it's quite a chunky one, quite a full journal. I really enjoyed making it. I tried to do it less matchy than a lot of things that maybe I've made before, and I had really great fun doing it. Hopefully you guys think it's come out really nice and sort of vintage and Victorian kind of looking. That was kind of the theme that I was trying to go for, so I hope that you guys like it. And yeah, as I say, obviously it's listed in my Etsy, and I will pop the link below. So if you do like it, then please, head on over and check it out. I have got quite a few things to be listing in my shop, so yeah, it might be that they're in there and I'll put all the videos up sort of one day, or it might be that they'll go up in dribs and drabs. But yeah, this is just one of many things that will be going in my shop. So I hope you like it, and thank you so much for watching. Thanks then, bye.